Question 2 to Jordan. How would you improve communication with the district staff?
Well, I don't think that the current communication is as big of a problem as some people make it to seem. I do think that there are issues on the side that are creating some of the problems. I do feel overall that the current board, while they're not perfect, they are doing a good job. But with that said, there is always room for improvement. I plan to go to the schools monthly and be available for the teachers and staff. And that doesn't mean just going there and trying to intimidate them. That means going there and being there for the teachers. So if they want to come talk to me freely, I'll be there just like another person. I think that by doing that, they'll be able to have more input over what's going on, and I think that will help out a lot with transparency and communication. I also think that I'll have a better understanding what the teachers are trying to say or what they want. For example, with the recent purchase of the iPads, is that something the teachers really wanted? Is that something they can feel they can teach better with the iPads? I hope to find out answers to similar questions like that when we make future investments on items that are wants and not needs. I also hope that this will open up the personal lines of communication in a more professional manner. As president of the Helping Businesses Build Assets Network group in Burlington, one of our biggest issues was lack of communication. Prior to stepping up into a more leadership role, there was a lot of communication. Nobody really knew what was going on at all within the organization. Since then, I've started doing weekly emails. I've been reaching out to the members constantly, trying to figure out what we can do to make our group better. And I think that our group has grown a lot and become a lot better, and I hope to bring that type of environment to the school board.
My goal in running for a position on the school board is to ensure that our kids are getting the best education possible. For that to happen, we need to be a district that is firing on all cylinders, a district where everyone is working as a team, our administration, our educators, and our school board. By now, most of us have seen the negative teacher surveys, the poor exit interviews, and the number of teachers leaving the district. So what is the problem? To me, two big things: trust and communication. I go to a lot of school board meetings now, and I hardly ever see teachers there. And I don't mean in the audience, I mean not there during discussions you would think they would be part of. Every time something related to education comes up, especially when it has to do with a particular grade, I'm always left to wonder why none of the teachers are there. For example, they recently had a presentation on the Title I 4K program and the great progress they're having. There's one teacher for that program. Instead of having that teacher come in, they had another teacher who is on the administration training program do it because it would be good leadership experience. Now, she did a good job of relaying the information, but if I'm on the school board and we have a brand new Title I 4K program and I want to hear all about it, I want to hear it from the teacher who's actually instructing the program. At a minimum, why not have them both do it? This is something that's really bothered me for a long time, and I've asked why it's like this. I haven't talked to a single teacher that feels comfortable coming to the school board and expressing their true feelings. They feel if they don't toe the company line, they will be targeted. I've talked to subs who have spoken out at board meetings, and suddenly their services were no longer needed anymore. In short, the teachers don't feel welcome. Have I talked to everyone? No, but I've talked to a lot of them. And unfortunately, perception is reality. So what do? We need to make teachers part of the conversation again and regain their trust. Let's start by completing a full survey and ask these kind of questions. I'd like to see a survey sent out from the school board to all the teachers. I'd also recommend that we create a teacher advisory panel. The teachers would elect peers to represent them, and the panel then would come to committee meetings where they would lend an educator's voice to the decisions we are making about our children's education. We also need to make sure that teachers have an open line of communication to the school board to address any concerns they have. Taking these actions aren't complicated. It costs us nothing but a little time and effort. I don't live in a fantasy land. Not everyone is going to agree on everything all of the time. Not every employer and employee is going to fall madly in love with each other. Over time, though, as we improve the communication and the trust, we're going to have a better school district as a result of it. I said this a lot of times. The school board makes the final decisions, but our teachers can help us make the right decisions. Thank you.
I do agree. I think perception is a lot of it. I think when you have somebody that's constantly telling the teachers that the board doesn't like them or the board's just degrading them, I think that makes it hard for the teachers. I think it makes it hard for the board because you're constantly being told it's not a good situation. Now, I don't know exactly what it's like being a teacher. I'll admit that full out. But I do know perception is everything. When I try to think, when I'm going through the day, for example, coming up here, very nervous coming up here, speaking in front of a great, big room of people, nothing I've ever done before. But in my mind, if I tell myself that I can do it, I feel a little bit better. And I think it's the same thing. When you keep telling people that it's a bad situation, that's how they're going to react, that's what they're going to think. So I do think we need to somehow change the perception. Remind the teachers that they do have a good job, that the school district does care about them, that the parents care about them, the citizens care about them, and that the kids need them. So I do want to change that, and I think we can. Also with the negative surveys and everything, I have read a lot of those. There are a lot of negative ones, but there was also positive ones. I think we can use that to figure out a way to improve the situation, and that's what I plan to do.
Jordan mentioned again that he wants to make himself available at the monthly meet or at that school so they can talk about anything and everything. He feels by doing this, and I quote from the Waterford Post, we will be able to make them better educators. That's the exact attitude I see perpetuated by some members of the current board, that this relationship is a one-way street, that it's all giving. One of the biggest concerns I had in running for the school board is that I don't have a background in education. I would have happily stepped aside prior to running for someone who did. I think working closely with our teachers is going to give board members greater insight into education-related decisions, and for us to apply that to the bigger picture, because that's our job. And somewhat agreed with me, I also questioned whether or not Jordan does feel that there's a morale and communication problem in the schools. Because one of his supporters did state that I was being dishonest in talking about the surveys and exit interviews, even though I'm talking about that as a small portion of the bigger picture, and in talking to teachers and them telling me these same issues. Remember, these were teachers not only willing to write it down on exit interviews or on surveys, but actually willing to write this stuff down in exit interviews. If I'm a teacher and I want to reference down the road, I'm probably going to refrain from speaking negatively about a previous employer. So the fact that teachers are willing to do that, it says a lot to me. So at the end of the day, I think that we need to acknowledge these concerns, that they exist, instead of dismissing them. I do agree that we need to change perception, but we need to change it with the teachers. And that's why I've outlined some steps, I feel, like the advisory panel, open lines of communication, that will help do that. Thank you.